Who's- Oh, okay. See what's going on. Something going on. She might be, we'll hold on it.
They went to see if she could find water.
Oh, okay. They went to go see if she could find you guys.
Water.
I brought my water.
Okay, why can't I hear?
Call the meeting to order to establish a quorum. Okay, would you do a roll call vote? Please?
Yes, present here. I can hear you.
Present.
Present.
Present?
Here.
Here. We now move to item 2 on the agenda, the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to amend the agenda
Thank
to
you.
remove item A under 10.
May I have a second to her motion to remove item A, which is the meeting minutes?
Second.
Been moved in second that item A on the agenda, the minutes will be taken out of our agenda if those next week, next board meeting. Is there any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote, Shay?
Yes.
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 She responded, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, say it again.
We're just approving the agenda.
Yes,
Been moved in second, the agenda has been approved. We will now go to Riverview Excellence.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board members, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Today for Riverview Excellence, we want to recognize our board president, Ms. Veronica Morrill-Real. Ms. Morrill-Real was honored as a hero in business by Small Business Monthly magazine in its July 2023 issue. It is linked there in board docs if anybody wants to see that. Matter of fact, Matt, can you click
Oh, no.
on?
29.
There was another link that went directly to the page. You click on
Is
those.
she on page 20? There she is.
Yeah, if you click on the second one, it'll take you, or
Page
whichever one you
23.
didn't click on, the first
Oh,
one.
that's the ad.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ms. Morrill is featured in Small Business Monthly. Some of the quotes that were in the article: "In a world where selfless acts of kindness often go unnoticed. There are individuals like Veronica Morrill who quietly dedicate their lives to making a profound difference in their communities. Also, Morrill's extensive involvement in various community initiatives showcases her unwavering dedication to uplifting those in need. From her current position as president on the Special Administrative Board for Riverview Garden School District to her role as the Region 7 Executive Committee Chair for the Missouri School Board Association. Morrill demonstrates her commitment to shaping education and fostering growth in her community. So we'd like to congratulate Mrs. Morrill for her remarkable achievements, her dedication to RGSD community, and for this amazing recognition.
Thank you so much.
Morrill, I have a t-shirt for you after the meeting. Let me know your size and we'll get that to you.
Thank you so much. We'll now go to patrons that would like to for the board. Okay, I will then go next to item 5, which is announcements. I'm going to allow any board members that have announcements to make them first. You all hear me okay? The announcements, board members?
And I did want to share that parliamentarian training yesterday was good. And I learned that gentleman nation that I shared had passed. But training with some.
Right.
I want to say that our president is doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm trying to study it. So I have a couple of announcements, but before I go into, I want to acknowledge 3 people. And I wrote it down because I didn't want to anything. This is an acknowledgement and thanks to Yvonne Green, Norval Harris, and Bobby Rogers. I want to acknowledge and publicly thank Mrs. Yvonne Green, Director of Facilities, Mr. Norval Harris, the lead custodian at Glasgow Elementary, Mr. Bobby Rogers, custodian at Glasgow Elementary, for their assistance to the Red Cross, Glasgow Village trustees, and Councilwoman Shalonda Webb over the holidays when Glasgow Elementary was used as a cooling center. I want to thank everybody else too that was involved with that, but I'm going to tell you why 3 people stand out. Ms. Green, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Rogers made sure that they did everything that they needed to do as Riverview Gardens employees to assist with the cooling center, and they could have easily gone home after that, but no. Ms. Green and Mr. Harris stayed at the school while trustees from Glasgow Village and St. Louis County police officers went around the neighborhood just checking on people. First thing, still stayed. Then after the Red Cross delivered cots and food, they stayed and offered help and assistance to give out food and water and bags of ice to anybody that came to the warming center. They stayed there because what happened was when the food came from the Red Cross, some of the trustees needed to deliver food to people that did not come to the center. Now I know Ms. Green has some plans, and I know Mr. Norval has some plans, but community trust is something that we are trying to instill as far as Riverview Gardens is concerned. And I'm gonna tell you, it just did my heart good to see them step up to help with the Red Cross and Shalonda Webb. And I'll be transparent and say, the reason I know all of this is because I spent the night there too. But they didn't have to go do what they did. It wasn't even about pay. And I know they made some sacrifices. And I just wanted to publicly acknowledge them because that did my heart good to see us come together as a community. It wasn't about I work for Riverview, so I'm going to do this and we're trusted. It was about we got to help these people. These are our neighbors and these are our babies. These are our children, what have you. So I just wanted to publicly thank you, Vaughn. And if you would please, well, never mind, I'm gonna call them and let them know myself, the 2 custodians, because when I tell you they stayed some time, they stayed some time. and then came back early in the morning. So I just want you to know I appreciate it. The next announcement has to do, this is a general reminder, that it has been suggested that the SAB begin to discuss and plan for a retreat to discuss topics such as board goals, committee assignments, communication protocols, and additional MSBA training with Normandy Collaborative School District and Riverview Gardens specific retreats. All members of the SAB were asked to formulate ideas and topics for inclusion in the retreat. Okay, and we're still asking you to remind you to give us suggested dates for the retreats. The next reminder is that on July 18th, there's a joint SBA meeting with Normandy at Normandy School District Collaborative. Normandy Central Office is 3855 Lucas and Hunt. It will go from 5 until 8 p.m. And then on July 25th, mark your calendars that we're going to have a special SAB meeting for the CSIP. That starts at 6 o'clock. My final announcement is that MSBA they've opened registration for anybody that's interested in going to the annual conference. If we register as soon as possible, the rate is $299. If wait, is going to go up to $349. So really give some thought to if you think you want to go to the annual conference, and let Shay know as soon as possible so that we can make sure that we are, because they book up really fast, and we want to be able to be in the hotel that's closest to the convention center.
I do have an additional announcement. I know that our families, although don't live in the city, attend the expo,
Oh, yeah.
Urban League Expo, and that's taking place on August.
Also, the gentleman that's over there, Mr. Vogel, reached out to me as in my position as Region 7 leader, and he asked me to reach out to all the presidents of the schools. So if you all know people at other school districts, please encourage them to come. It used to be that this was specifically for St. Louis City, but they are really trying to expand their outreach. They're going to be giving away book bags and things like that. So I'm encouraging you to share it with as many people as possible. Thank you, Dr. Bonelli, for bringing that up. Thank you. That ends my announcements.
Ms. Morrill, may I
Yes.
ask, just for clarification, you asked the board about additional topics
Yes.
for the retreat. How do you want that information gathered? You're gonna discuss that tonight? Do you want them to send it? And how do you want that to work?
Okay, I think that any of the additional, any topics that you think that you would like to be discussed, if you will formulate them into written form and give them to Shay, that way we can look at them, and it may be something repeat on there. So if you would, and I'm asking if we could try to get that done as possible along with our dates.
Are you looking at, I'm just trying, so
Sure.
because you've got workshops coming up and school
Right.
starting in August,
Right.
are you looking in the window of August, September, or
Well,
having the
I'll-
first one?
Right, well, what I'll speak for myself. So the dates that I gave, Shay, were almost the whole month of August, with the exception of the week that we have our first school board meeting in August. I presented all of those dates. So if board members have dates in mind that they get to her, submit the dates along with your ideas, so that we can narrow down which best for everyone. Right. Mhm. I did include Saturdays on my my list as well. I started it from Monday to Saturday. Right.
And it don't, last one was,
Right. Right. We'll now move to reports. Superintendent report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I want to echo Ms. Morrow real sentiments regarding the cooling center. I also want to thank safety and security for making sure that we had DSOs there. And I will say, your comments it doesn't even, you said a lot. But when we were notified, Ms. Green and Mr. Newton and their team got right on it. At no time did they say, do you realize this is a holiday weekend?
Right.
They jumped to it. Ms. Lambda asked how she could help. And so I just want to thank everyone who chipped in and who helped out when you could have very easily said, I've got somewhere else to be. I got something else to do. So I want to thank them for that. Also, I want to say that, we normally have a student rep. Both our student reps have graduated. And so we probably won't have a student rep until October's meeting because there's a process that they have to go through at the high school of selection process. So it is our hope to have student rep, and Ms. Navis nodding her head, by that October board meeting. Also, as you know, tonight, the St. Louis County Council is voting on whether or not to put a freeze on the property tax. Superintendents are a little worried about that, I'm going to be honest, because of the impact it could have on the people who don't qualify for Social Security. The people who, most of people who work in education through certified staff, you don't pay Social Security. So they would not be frozen. You don't pay Social Security. But the impact on school districts. So, when you're, and we do know that there needs to be some relief for people who are Social Security age. If I could collect Social Security, I get it, because I am of that age, but we are concerned about the impact on school systems, should that happen. And so I did have a conversation with Councilwoman Webb last night, and she did listen to my aspect of the impact it could have on the district. And I just want to publicly say how much I appreciated her taking that time out to have that conversation with me when she did not have to. I also want to note that the Office of Professional Development is hosting an Equity in Action Conference here in the district on July 18th and 19th at Westfield Middle School. And Dr. Tiffany Patton is one of the people who will be presenting. Solution Trees Level Up Conference is taking part this week. So many of us, we're partnered with Solution Tree. They're doing the work for our turnaround schools and our priority schools. And so we were well represented this week at the conference. All of our schools were represented. It felt good to see teams from every single building. I can't stress that enough. The excitement for me with that. I also had the opportunity of doing the opening welcome at the conference, welcoming people to St. Louis, and just a little bit about our change in just that 1 year with Solution Tree. So I want to just thank all of those who have given up some of their time this summer, teachers and administrators, to continue their learning. I don't know if how many of you look at KMOV, but last night I saw this ad that flashed across the screen that talked about the Gentlemen of Vision. And the Gentlemen of Vision, KMOV did a surprise squad on them, and Mr. Marlon Warden, the sponsor, received keys to a brand new SUV.
Wow.
And so our Gentlemen of Vision will be featured Thursday, I believe it is, at 6 o'clock on KMOV. So please look at it. It's a great thing, and we continue to change the narrative about Riverview Gardens. And so I'm glad that that's happening. And there was one more thing I wanted to say, and it has slipped my mind. Ishmael, do you know, have you read my mind? I didn't know what that was. Oh, the back to school bash. We're going to talk about that tonight, but I just want to make sure that everybody comes out. It is a wonderful event. And I'm sure I'll stop now because Dr. Patton will come to the podium and say I took her thunder. Oh, yes, thank you. That was it. Thank you. As you know, several of the legislators in this area had written into Senate Bill 180, I think, or 190, the budget for $13 million for Riverview Garden School District to address facility needs such as roofing, asbestos abatement, mold abatement, and just to help make our buildings more structurally sound. And the governor vetoed it. Many people have reached out to us to say, well, what can we do? I say, write a letter to the governor. I don't know if that's gonna change anything, but write a letter to the governor. We did do a response to the media, and we sent out a notice to our community and our staff yesterday because a sense of fear, people not knowing that that was additional monies versus our regular budget,
Right.
thought that school was gonna be closing and that, you know, they were gonna lose their jobs and all of that. And so we wanted to put that to rest. Are we disappointed? We are, but, you know, I'm a firm believer you can't miss what you didn't have.
Right.
And so we'll just, you know, maybe it'll happen next year, but we're not gonna give up. And quite a few of our agencies have reached out to me and said, if we try to do something to do that, they will help. And I know at the last meeting, we talked about the foundation. So I am going to meet with a representative of the foundation this week. That concludes my announcement. Because I keep thinking there's something else to say. Ready?
I'll move, okay, items of information.
Our first item, item A, is the back to school bash for 23-24. Making this presentation is Dr. Tanya Patton, Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services, and I'll stop at that.
Dr. Jerlin already made my announcement. Thank you very much. Good evening, SAB members, Dr. Jerlin, community and colleagues. As Dr. Jerlin noted, we will have our annual Back to School Bash on August the 1st. Last year was my first year participating, and it was a wonderful event. So we invite you all out. There will be food trucks and haircuts, and Gentlemen of Vision will be performing. There will be a DJ. There will be book bags and school supplies. There will be all kinds of opportunities to connect with our community. So last year, we didn't count them, but I don't know, that we had a lot of people out. And so I anticipate this year that we'll have the same amount of people or even more. This item is being presented as an informational item, but also a discussion item. Typically, all of our activities are donated by our community members, community partners. Some have been hesitant to send back contracts. So I want to make sure that we are able to provide the things that we provided last year. And so you'll notice that there's a discussion item here for spending approximately $2,000 if necessary to make sure that we have all of the activities. So that's a part of this presentation as well. We have bounce houses and balloons and animals. There'll be a petting zoo. Hopefully one of the alpacas won't get out again as it did last year and ran down the sidewalk. I was not chasing the alpaca, but are there any questions about this item?
Is it gonna be at the high school?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Ms. Lane. This will be at the high school. It's 6 to 8 p.m. So it's a 2-hour amount of time. It's also a national night out. And we are doing this in conjunction with Bell Fountain Neighbors. So August 1st, 6 to 8 p.m. on the campus of our high school.
Okay,
You heard it? Okay. All right. Thank you.
thank you. Move to the next item B on,
Okay, our next item is the S&P Global Ratings, and Dr. Singleton kind of mentioned it at the last meeting. He's going to give more detail today. Dr. Singleton.
Thank you. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I just want to provide some information and an update on what we verbally discussed at our last SAB meeting. And this is really good news. Really good news in the sense that the district's credit rating has improved. I believe at the last meeting, we had just received word, not even a couple hours prior to the meeting. And I informed the board that our credit rating had improved 2 notches.
but the reaffirmation is that it actually improved one notch. We were at a triple B rating, and the credit rating was upgraded to a triple B plus. So let's give us, that's that is outstanding. That's good. S&P, the global rating agency, this is what they do. They produce financial research and analyze bonds and commodities. And so they put together these reports and these grades and these ratings, and it's akin to our own credit rating. We know that, we all want that 850 or that 900 credit score, but certainly if you've got the 650, and those scores are very good as well. So this is the district's credit rating. Some of the comments, and I shared with all of the members of the Special Administrative Board, this is your Saki, this informational packet that talks about the improved credit rating going from a triple B to a triple B plus. Our outlook is very stable. The actions or the reasons for the rating, they looked at our finances, how we have improved financially over time. They gave us rave reviews about our finances, and we are doing a pretty good job financially. How conservative we are in terms of our budgeting. And one of the things that kept us from moving to the A category was our provisional accreditation. Okay. We have to, we have to move forward. And I know we're doing everything in our powers to move us forward. And I believe that is what held us in the B category. But we'll take a B, right? We'll take the B plus, the triple B plus. It's an excellent rating, and it means great things in terms of the district's ability to borrow and issue debt. So I did want to just share this as an informational item. I tried to be as detailed as possible, and there we have it. So congratulations to the school district. For some time, we had been sitting at a triple B, and after our further review, the credit rating agency decided to upgrade us to a triple B plus. So thank you. Are there any questions that you may have of me at this time?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. This was part of the packet.
Yes.
Thing, so I read it.
Okay.
And it stated not only part of the reason why we increased was partly finances, but also spoke about stable management,
Yes.
spoke about certified superintendent.
Mhm.
And so all of those come together really is responsible for all of us moving up. And just thank you all. And thank the district leadership, all also contributed.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the additional information. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item for information is communications program evaluation. Making this presentation is Mr. Ishmael Sistron, Executive Director, Communications.
Good evening again, Special Administrative Board members. And I'm going to be doing a program review for the Communications Department for the past school year. This will be an overview. Some of this information, I'll go more in depth when we present the communications plan, the updated communications plan at an upcoming meeting. But I'm going to give you an overview of what we've been doing in the department. Okay, team members, myself, Executive Director of Communications, Ms. Ayana Flowers, the Communications Specialist 1, Markayla Goss, the Administrative Assistant. I also put Tim Hinkie on here. He is a contractor for the website, and I believe myself and maybe Dr. Larry will be bringing forth a contract for the upcoming school year, but I did want you to see Mr. Hinkie as well, and he is a retired teacher from the high school. Our roles, as the department head, I have departmental oversight, provide management of all internal and external communications, management of marketing, and community relations, work with DLT and stakeholders to decide, the district's, communication strategies, and priorities, serve as the district spokesperson along with Dr. Pruitt Adams, media management and more. Ms. Flowers mainly works producing the newsletters, the monthly and the weekly newsletters. She helps to produce the podcast and videos. And a big thing for her this year is going to be to mine for content in the schools. So being in the schools on a daily, weekly basis and trying to find stories that we can share with the media, that we can share in the newsletters, and also helping the schools with their newsletters. Ms. Goss, the administrative assistant, does the clerical duties. She's also responsible mainly for maintaining the social media. She handles the electronic board sign out front in central office now, creates requisitions for any purchases that we do, and really any other duties that we ask. And again, Mr. Hinkie, he does a lot of the major updates to the district website, and he really does a lot of the training. So at each of the schools, they usually manage their own school website. So Mr. Hinkie trains the staff at the schools to do it. He comes to central office usually during the summertime and trains the staff here. And if there's any really major time consuming work on the website, I'll have Mr. Hinkie do that. For sort of day-to-day stuff, I can do that. Markayla can do that. And we're in the process of training Ms. Flowers to do that as well. This is just an overview of the stakeholders. So the internal stakeholders, the SAB, the administration, staff members, school resource officers, of course, parents and scholars, and parent and student organizations are under that one. And external, it's really any taxpayer, business leaders, alumni groups, education foundation, and so forth. These are some of the media that we send information to, that we communicate through. So electronic is the website, department homepages, school homepages, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Nextdoor. And this morning, actually, we had a communications meeting and we talked about, what is the new one? The fake Twitter, the new Twitter, Threads, thank you. Threads, we just added a Threads page literally this morning. We already have like 155 followers on Threads. RGSD schools, if you want to follow the district on any of those sites, RGSD schools. Letters, incident reports. We support schools when they have incident. We're writing letters, important announcement, invitations, thank you letters. We do surveys, interpersonal communications, media. That's print broadcasts, magazines, news websites, radio stations, podcasts, and multimedia, which includes the newsletters, podcasts, calendars, Peach Jar, Canva, and et cetera. Here are just some of the examples of the communications and publications that we send out. The Inside View, that's the monthly newsletter for the district. 5 Things You Should Know is a weekly newsletter where we just share information in short form on a weekly basis. The Ramley Matters podcast. I do want to give kudos to Miss Barbara Sharp. She is, Miss Sharp here? I don't see Miss Sharp here, but she sat for the most recent episode of the Ramley Matters podcast. And so check that out if you have not yet. On the left side, you see videos. We have Dr. Pruitt Adams do some videos. TikTok, the young student that you see there. And then the other pieces, Monica Williams and I, when we were on A Great Day on KMOV. Just a review of some of the social media goals that we had for the last school year and to update you on how we did. So last July 1st, we had 2,626 followers on Facebook. In our communications plan, our goal was to increase by 15%. That would have been 3,020 followers. We actually got 19% increase with 3,127. So we exceeded the goal. On Twitter, we had 915 followers. Our goal was to increase by 10% to get to 1,007. We fell a little bit short on that. We got 977, a 6.8% increase. Part of that, if you've been following social media and Twitter, they have a new owner, Elon Musk. One of the first things he did when he came in was delete a bunch of inactive users or bots. He's also made some decisions that people don't like, which is why you have threads. And so the user base on Twitter is shrinking. And so I think that's part of the reason that we didn't meet that 10% increase, but we still increased. Instagram, 1,438 followers last July. Our goal was 1,798. That was a 25% increase. We felt Instagram is a more popular social media, so we could project a little higher. We actually got a 66% increase, up to almost 2,400 followers. On YouTube, we had 253 subscribers. Our goal, 15% increase to 291. We had a 79% increase on YouTube, up to 453 followers. LinkedIn, we were at 85 followers. We projected 100% increase on there because we had not been very active on LinkedIn prior to this past school year, and we exceeded that with 114% increase to 182. TikTok was something new. We didn't have that last July. We started that, the goal, we said, well, we can get at least 100 followers on TikTok. We fell short. We have 44 followers, but if you look at the video views, we posted 13 videos on TikTok. We got almost 12,000 views, 11,789. So that's over 900 views per video on TikTok. So even though the follower number isn't large, people are watching the videos that we post there. And like I mentioned, we added threads literally this morning, and we were at 155 followers just in that time. Marketing, advertising. We advertised on radio, we advertised on television, we did some online search, social media. Some of this I'm coming to you a little bit later to talk about. Recognition and award ceremonies, community partnerships and sponsorships, and of course the podcast. And on the right, you see just some of the examples of advertising that we did. Television commercials. Actually, these are 30 seconds long, so I do want to play these just so you can see them. So if Matt can help me out, and just if you click on the link, it'll play. And this is what we did with you. And of course, that was Precious Berry, our board representative, student board representative. This one is Miss Juanita Shaw, who was our teacher of the year this past year from Westview Middle. And the last one is Miss Tracy Nave, who was here in the building. Yes, well, we need to show. You did a great job. Click on hers, yeah.
They don't like looking at they.
Right.
Play hers. There you go.
Good job, Tracy Nave. Thank you. Stop being shy over there. All right, and finally, just to list a few departmental goals that we have put together in the communications department. And again, when we come for the communication plan, we're gonna have some collaboration with students and scholars and staff, but this is really just for the communications department. So number one is develop an intranet system to serve as a communications hub for the district. Right now, we send a lot of emails out to our staff members with important information. And of course, when you get so many emails, you stop reading them or they're not a priority. So we want to have a hub where people, when they log onto their computer, it pops up, it has news, it has important resources. And so we're working on developing that right now. Number two, hold weekly communications department meetings to better plan, strategize, and collaborate on communications initiative. Again, that's something that we've started. We were doing them every Wednesday, but we're going to move to Tuesday now. And every Tuesday morning, me and my team get together. They have great ideas and we're able to just talk about what you're working on, what we need to work on, and just better plan to get good coverage for these events and things. And lastly, to attend local community meetings and events at least twice per month. This past school year, as things got busy, trying to get out to Bell Fountain Neighbors or Delwood or other community meetings, that just sort of fell off the radar. It just really just wasn't time to do it. And so this year, now that we have additional staff member, one of my goals is going to be, let's get out to at least 2 per month. And so we're putting that in and we're going to be able to track that as well. Are there any questions? Yes.
Talked about it. Directly. Come out versus them coming out when there's a.
Yes, so we send out, I have a list of reporters, really all the major media networks and some individual reporters. I send out press releases, so important information or events that goes to them. A lot of them are on my mailing list in terms of the 5 things you should know in the monthly newsletter. So we send that out. And actually now we're in a position where we've had a lot of reporters that'll reach out and say, hey, we're looking for some good information or we're looking for some additional information. And so they reach out to me as well, but I do send things to them on a regular basis so that they are aware. And a lot of journalists also follow us and other school districts on social media. So as we post there, that information is there. I'm glad you asked that question though. Also a part of the board item, there was a list of news stories, and I won't necessarily go into those in detail, but we had like 448 news stories over the past year in radio, TV, online, things of that nature. Now we had 2 stories that were really big. One was a negative story. It was an altercation between a teacher and a staff member, or a teacher and a student. Another one I think was initially supposed to be negative. That was the Elliott Davis piece with the promotion ceremony. But the public sentiment was really with the district. And so those 2 stories, probably 150 of those 448, because they run on different networks and different mediums. But we had a lot of news coverage. And so another thing I'm going to do for this current school year is when we are covered in the news, make sure to share that in the board letter at the end of each week so you know where we are in the media.
Back to your social media goal page.
Yes.
I was under the impression, and maybe it's just what you hear in the atmosphere, that more young people follow Instagram than Facebook. But by your numbers, it appears more people are following the Facebook. So does that mean older or more mature people
Yeah, so
following Facebook and not the Instagram?
a lot of the parents who are following us on Facebook, parents, community members. And then if you look at the Instagram audience, that's going to be more students and more young people.
Do you target your message different? Those are just the same?
It varies. Sometimes we do. On some things, we target different based on the social media outlet. And there's some things that we just push out everywhere. So when we're talking about the back to school bash that's coming up, we pretty much post the same message everywhere except TikTok, because TikTok is a completely different animal. So we really do target separately for TikTok. But there is talk of changing that now that we have 3 people of, and especially since we launched the threads this morning, talked about targeting different based on each different social media avenue. You're welcome.
Had a question?
No, have you all looked into kind of like all of your,
Oh, I've seen that. We have the ability to publish, like even from our website, we can publish to multiple places at once, but we don't use Linktree per se. But we do have the ability to publish to multiple social media accounts at once.
yeah, the link tree, buddy, QR code or had the link
See all of them.
every
Gotcha.
area. So we could get the parents to maybe just find and follow.
Right. Yeah, we can set up a link tree. I'm familiar with that. And I also do on our newsletters and things like that. We link all the social media pages on the things that we send out to our parents and families and community.
One of the things that I wanted to ask is I know that at the high school, I think that they're coming out with some type of publication as well. So you all ever just visit the schools and get ideas or suggestions from all grade levels at the schools, what students might want to see on some of them?
So we
Stories and what
do,
have you.
and that's a good question in terms of talking to students. That's something that we can do a better job with. And that's part of Ms. Flowers. Her design is to work directly with the schools to help them with their newsletters and to help get information for the district newsletters. But a lot of times that is going to the staff members, either the principals or whoever's in charge of the newsletter at that school. And so I'm glad you said that because we can definitely make outreach to the students as well. Questions? Thank you.
That concludes all of the items for information. Ishmael, you're next. The next item is the renewal of the KMOV. I do need to say that we had intended to put this for discussion and approval. The board is willing, we'd like to ask that tonight, which would allow us, and I wasn't thinking about it when we changed the, adopted the agenda. If not, I would ask that we have the special board meeting for CSEP. If we could ask for approval that night so we can get some advertising out.
I have a motion toward agenda to include this for action. All board members, what's available for them. You haven't got first one.
All right, I would like to amend the agenda to add item 8A, place A, or the
I think you could, can we do that for consent or does it have to go at the bottom for approval, doesn't it? Okay, thank you.
Right.
That'll work.
Heard the motion from Dr. Yvonne Elliott. May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. That item for discussion and action. Is there any discussion? Hey, can I get a roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't hear you. Did you call me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
She just called you.
Yes.
Okay. Section, this has been approved.
Thank you. And Good evening again. I will try to be brief in this. I know my last one went a little long, but essentially what we're asking today, I believe that back in February, we came to the Special Administrative Board with the request to do commercial advertisements. Some of those 3 commercials that you saw in the previous presentation were part of the commercials that KMOV came and produced for us and that ran on their station. We had asked to run for about 3 months for an amount not to exceed $52,000. What happened was it took a little more time than we expected to get set up. So we needed some code put onto our website for Google Analytics. The district did not use Google Analytics at the time, so we had to work with technology to get that implemented. Then we had to work with our website vendor to get the code placed on the website. So it took a couple of months for us to be ready for that, so they could track the ads. So we really only ran for about 5 or 6 weeks with KMOV. So what we're asking is to come back and use that money that was approved previously, was just under $30,000, and to be able to use that in July and August for continued recruiting. I can show you some brief information. Again, I don't want to belabor this on what we had. So one of the things we did was social advertising on social media. On this page, it shows 136,000 impressions. That's about how many times that it was seen by people. It reached 39,000, almost 40,000 people. And so people saw that about 3.5 times each month. Oh, let me go back. And if you look on the bottom, I know it's small here, but for the recruiting and branding, we got 212 link clicks. So that means 212 people saw that and clicked on the link that took them directly to our employment site. Let's see. On this page, this talks about engagement. We had about 718 post clicks of 0.53% engagement. That's around average for the click-through rate. Or how about, I'll ask, are there any questions? I don't want to go through a lot of the stats, but if you have questions, I can highlight some specific things for you.
I have a question. On the employment, were we able to determine how many applicants?
We have not yet. That's one of the things I'd like to work with Mr. Ford on. I know Monica Williams was sort of transitioning out, Mr. Ford's transitioning in. So we haven't been able to look at that time to see, exactly how many people that applied from those clicks. But that's something I do want to find out, or see if we can at least find the trends on that. If we had an uptick, I know speaking to our recruiter, Mr. Blake Moore, he seemed to think that we were filling positions at a faster pace around that time, but that's more speculation at this point.
Okay.
And unrelated, a question on applications, how did
Only with that channel, no other,
I'm sorry.
only with, what is that?
So that was with KMOV. So the commercials are on channel 4, and also they have some partner stations that they work with. So any KMOV affiliated station would have the commercials, but we also did online ads. We did Google search ads. So when people are searching teacher jobs, then we would appear as one of the top answers on there. And one of the real reasons that we wanted to have at least 3 months to analyze is because after the first month, they show us the results and we can go back and say, okay, let's add these other keywords, or this keyword didn't have a good result, so let's add this one instead and see how those numbers improve.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so this was paid for out of the ESSER funds through HR's recruiting and advertising budget. And so it is budgeted. And again, it was approved in February, but those funds weren't spent. So we're just asking to complete the spending of those funds. Yes.
I wanted to ask too, doesn't KMOV also have radio? They also advertised by radio as well?
They probably do. I think they are
Because the guy that
affiliated with,
interviewed you and, Williams, I thought that he radio spot as well.
they may have some radio. I feel like they're affiliated with KMOX, but I can look
Right.
into
I
that to
think
see.
so, yeah.
We
'Cause
did
I thought
not.
I heard it on radio one time.
Okay.
That may have been the one that we did previously with a radio station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did a lot of radio advertising
Yeah.
before we switched to television. This one, we didn't specifically pay for radio advertising, but the way it works a lot of times in media is when one station hears a story, you know, if we have a story that runs on KSDK, KMOV calls the next day saying, hey, you know, what can you tell us about this? And they'll run the story as well. So
Right.
Run any, judging on African-American oriented channels?
So we have done advertising with the St. Louis American newspaper. But in terms of television stations specifically, KMO, well, no, we did some Fox 2. They had a sponsor a job segment that we ran ads on early last year. And KMOV is only the second television station that we have advertised with. But we do want to, we are open to advertising on all platforms and investigating that.
When we did do the radio, they gave us a selection of
Yeah.
channels that were favorites of different age groups and different ethnicities as well. And then we did the billboards.
Yeah, we've done billboards, radio, and that's urban stations, rock stations, again, all over, just targeting, trying to extend our reach to all demographics.
Have you seen, there any,
I think there's positive results in terms of the branding of the district to getting the message out. I know a lot of times Dr. Pruitt-Adams gets phone calls. I get phone calls of people who have seen the ads. We have not really taken the time to go back and look at the numbers, you know, by this month that we advertised, how did it go up? And part of that was just a transition that was happening in leadership from human resources. So that's something that as we go through these next 2 months, if the board approves it, we'll come back and we'll give a more in-depth analytics on how it went. Thank you.
The next item is federal programs, AVID. Making this presentation is Mr. Keena Curtis, Coordinator for Federal Programs.
Good
Director, I'm sorry.
evening. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Superintendent, colleagues, and community. Tonight, Federal Programs is presenting a recommendation to continue use of the Advancement via Individual Determination Program, AVID, at the secondary level in Gibson Elementary School in the 23-24 school year. This program utilizes AVID strategies and other best instructional practices and use of 21st century tools to ensure college readiness for AVID elective students and improve academic performance for all students. The individual site costs are listed for you in your information and at a cost not to exceed $70,952. This cost does include membership fees for each site, professional development, and travel. It is recommended that the Special Administrative Board approve the continuation of AVID membership and required training for Riverview Gardens High School, Central and Westview Middle Schools, and Gibson Elementary. With SAB approval, AVID membership and training are pending title grant approval and available building funding to cover membership and necessary training costs. Are there any questions?
Is there a measurable report that we could see how well, program is working?
So what it would look like is the course schedule at each site. So what we can do is when the school year starts, as the year goes along for each quarter, we can have that information shared with you if that helps.
I was just curious. Thank you.
The Saturday school has just That's new.
I'm not presenting that. Saturday school.
No,
that's
it
at-
says virtual Saturday school under Riverview Garden High School.
Am I presenting it
No,
today?
no, no, it's a part of your, I'm reading this as. a
Oh,
part
you
of
mean as a
what
part
is-
of, for ad?
Yes.
Yes, so part of that, I thought you were talking about something else for
No, that's
today. 'cause
something
that's being
else.
presented, yes.
That's
So
something
part
else.
of it is for Saturday school. That's an option, which is part of the next thing that I'm about to present to. If that makes sense.
Okay. I
It's an
got you.
extended program.
I got
Are there any other questions?
Is the Avid program and the Saturday school, is that two separate programs?
So Avid is a resource, if that makes sense, that is used in a program.
So I'm really interested to know the effectiveness of it as we move toward the end of ESSER funds and we realize that we have to really guard our monies. Make sure that we are getting the best out of Abbott, or is there something else we should be doing? How are you ascertaining success? And how much success have you seen?
Correct. So that's one thing that I just noted that Ms. Monreal just asked as well. So I can provide you all updates as the school year goes along.
Just one clarification for this item, the Avid item, those are federal program funds.
Correct. These are,
That's not
this
ESSER.
this program, this resource is not being funded through ESSER, Dr. Coleman. This is funded through regular title funds,
That's two different programs.
two different funding sources. ESSER is one funding source and title is a different funding
But
source.
one
But
same program.
same program.
I was a little confused.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I do understand that. I guess I'm trying to guard all of the money and it doesn't matter which umbrella it falls under.
Yes, ma'am.
We are getting the best out of it. Because where we've had more monies in one area and that
Mhm.
started to become limited. Let's just be careful.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. Are there any other questions?
I guess one of the things that would be helpful is, like participation information, like how many students, because it's, at the high school is a course, right? So they enroll in that specific course as a ever
Correct.
go into, but then for the lower levels,
It's only one school. It's
Okay.
Gibson Elementary, so it's a required, so all of the students are participating.
okay, so all the kids are participating with
Correct.
that in the high school, then having that data will be.
And the
helpful.
middle schools, correct.
Okay,
So that I'll provide you their course schedule, so you'll see how many students are participating. Are there any other questions?
Thank you. The next item is federal programs, extended day programming and professional development.
Good evening again. Federal Programs is presenting the second item related to extended learning opportunities and professional development paid through federal funds at Riverview Gardens High School, Central Middle School, Gibson Elementary, and Glasgow Elementary. These activities will be held at the school sites and led by building administration. Each site has a listed cost for each site at a total cost not to exceed what is listed for each approved site. And that total is at this time, $236,654. That is inclusive of benefits. A second presentation may occur later in the school year, as of these are the funds that are available through our federal funds that are available now. We may have what is considered carryover funds available to us at a later date. So this amount may increase for these sites, and there may be available funding available at additional school sites as well. So again, at this time, the amount is $236,654. And Federal Programs is requesting approval for Riverview Gardens High School, Central Middle School, Gibson Elementary, and Glasgow Elementary staff participation and extra duty pay, extended learning activities, and professional development to be paid with federal funds in an amount at this time not to exceed $236,654 inclusive of benefits. Are there any questions?
selection of these specific schools?
This is what their funding is available. So each site has per DESI a certain allocation for each school. And when I meet with each site at the end of the year to plan for the upcoming site, some schools have additional funds after all staff salaries and benefits have been paid. Regular resources and materials and supplies, all those things have been allocated for. They have additional funds to pay for building site activities. So this is what was available just at these sites. So that's why I said it may be additional funds depending on what carryover is available for additional sites. So I may be coming back with additional schools that may have additional funds as well.
So this Saturday school is not virtual.
No, this
So
Saturday,
It's
this,
a different Saturday school.
correct.
Avid one is virtual.
The Avid one can be virtual because that is depending on specifically for the high school, so it will look different for secondary versus elementary, because the elementary is just one site. It's one site in one classroom right now. So they're there every day. What happens at the secondary level, specifically the high school, they have the opportunity for, with these funds here, and this particular item, the teachers can have Saturday option available to work with the students on Saturdays, if that makes sense, in that particular program.
Physically.
They can do physically or virtually.
It'll only be Saturday. This doesn't extend the day to a longer period of time.
For this particular program, yes, it does. It's extended day for student activities and professional development. So it can be before school or after school.
At the discretion of the,
Say it again.
at the discretion of the teacher.
At the discretion of the school site and the building leader in their leadership program, whatever their team decides.
This is not a 4-day.
No, we don't decide that.
All right, I think so. I just want to be clear.
No,
This is additional learning,
correct.
student, and additional professional development opportunity.
Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Our next item is the Chance Light ACE Program Service Agreement for Alternative Education. Making this presentation is Dr. Tanya Patton, Dr. Jared Smith.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues and community. I'm Dr. Jared Smith, District Hearing Officer and Director of Alternative Education. For the past several years, Riverview Gardens School District has partnered with ACE Learning Centers to provide alternative educational services for students in Riverview Gardens School District. Programming includes credit recovery, night school, summer school, as well as 3 options to receive a high school diploma. We also provide the opportunity for students who have been separated from their home schools due to long-term suspensions to continue their education toward graduation. Historically, the partnership has been successful, with ACE helping Riverview Gardens increase its graduation rate and attendance rate, which positively impacts the district's MSIP and APR data. Additionally, the alternative programs supports middle school students who were not successful in their traditional school. Also, the alternative program has helped the district to increase its ability to recover 5th and 6th year cohort graduates. We are recommending that the board accept and approve the agreement between Chance Light and Riverview Gardens School District for the 2023-2024 school year in the amount not to exceed $996,750, which includes 225 middle school and high school slots in the alternative program, as well as 200 slots for summer school and 35 slots for night school per semester at no additional cost. Questions?
I did have some questions, Dr. Smith, and thank you
Yes,
for answering them. I did ask, and there was a typo, how many ACE alternate certificates were there in 22-23? That's what they should have said. You responded that there were 31 scholars who received ACE diploma during the 22-23 school year. I then asked how many Missouri State diploma graduates were there out of the 40 graduates from the alternative program. You said that 9 graduated with a Riverview Gardens school diploma, and that's that Missouri State. And 31 graduated with an ACE diploma. All 40 graduates, you said, counting graduation numbers. My next question was, has there been an increase or a decrease in those numbers? You said it's an increase over last year. There were 6 scholars who received RGSD diplomas out of the total of 29 graduates during the 21-22 school year. So then I asked you to provide a chart for me showing ACE and the Missouri graduation rates for Riverview Gardens over the past 5 years. And what I noticed in that, and thank you for preparing that for me, when we look at this past year, we see that it's a little higher than last year, but yes, we're still significantly low coming out of the pandemic with having 31 of the ACE graduates, but only 9 of Missouri graduates. And then the same thing almost mirrors itself with, it looks like 6 in 21-22 and maybe 29 in 21-22, as you mentioned. As I move over and look at it, it seems that when we went into, in 2018, when we went into the pandemic, and my little phone's not big enough to show me everything I want to know, but when we went into the pandemic, it looks like we had 23 Riverview Garden graduates, and it looked like 28 maybe of the ACE graduates. And now that's really good, because that's the year we started in the pandemic. And so we see, is that the year? Yeah, that's the year we started in the pandemic. So there was a lot of growth there, and I was really pleased. And we see how drastically that growth dropped following the pandemic. So my question is, because we had such a good return in the 2018-2019 school year, tell me some of the changes that ACE has encountered that maybe we're having a hard time getting back to those high numbers that we had in 2018-2019. Has there been a change in instruction? Has there been a change in instructors? What's going on that we can't seem to get up again when it comes to this? Because we know that an ACE diploma is accepted in many places. However, we know that the best would be to have that Riverview Gardens, that state of Missouri diploma. What has changed, and what can we do about it so that we can get these numbers back up?
So there are a couple things that are happening there. The first thing is that coming out of the pandemic, there were just a number of students who were so far behind. So that's why you see the number of ACE graduates, ACE diploma graduates, kind of staying steady, because we just have a lot of students coming out the pandemic who were so far behind that achieving the 24 credit Riverview diploma, they would be 7-year graduates before they got there. On the opposite side of that, coming out the pandemic, the high school has implemented a bunch of new, innovative, great programs and great initiatives to keep those students who are even close to being on track at the high school. So the alternative program isn't getting nearly as many students who are close to graduating as we were going into the pandemic. Now the students, once again, the students that we're getting are students who have, are at least 1.5, 2 years behind their cohort. So we're getting seniors that have 10 credits, 11 credits, sometimes 7, 8, occasionally. Now we're getting students that have 3, 4, 5 credits, but they're classified as seniors. And so once again, getting those students to a 24 credit hour diploma, we definitely offer that option, but we also have a duty to the district to graduate kids, in a timely manner. And so, and a lot of the kids, once a student comes in, they fill out a form, they go through all the classes that they need, they do a timeline that lets them know, okay, here's where you are, here's how much time it'll take you to get to where you need to be. And a lot of our students, they say, you know what, I'll do the 18 credit hour because I can get out in 2 years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, as opposed to 5, 6 years. So those are probably the two major differences coming out of the pandemic. Some of the things that we're doing on our end, we've initiated, it's called a Twilight program, because once again, coming out of that pandemic, we have students who started working full-time jobs during the pandemic to help support their families, and they're continuing to work those full-time jobs. So we started a Twilight program. So those students, even those students who are working during the day, they can still go to school and get their diploma. So, we're doing some different things, but those are probably the two biggest pieces that are affecting these numbers. One thing that I like is that we're on an upward trend. It's not as quick as we like it to be, but I expect that in the next, probably 24, being realistic, probably in 24, 25, we'll see a nice spike in those RGSD diplomas again.
I certainly understand the need for students to work and help those things, and because I am product of one of those students who had to work through high school and help with family and take care of myself. And so I remember at 16, I had an apartment, I paid rent. So I do understand that. However, I needed someone to stress to me at that time that you can do what you want to do now, and your later gonna look like now, or you can do what you need to do now, and then later you can do what you want to do. Somebody is going to have to experience. I understand if you sitting in front of a kid, if I'm 18 and you sitting in front of me, oh, I'd be out here in 2 years, yes, sign me up. Because that's the child's mentality. But when you break it down and you say, hey, now you can do this, I can tell you 2 years from now, it's gonna look pretty much like we look today. But if you want it to be better, then you have to do some hardship. You're gonna have to go through a little bit more so that you can have something better. We just have to push the importance of it and be very honest with them as to how far they can get with a ACE diploma. And we've been listening this past week in changes in colleges and registration and admittance, and we look for those changes to come. It's going to be very difficult. And I want our children to not just make a life, but I want them to make a future and to be able to, because we know right now, oh, they're paying $22 an hour. Well, the real deal is when you take that $22 an hour paycheck home, you can't live very well off of it unless you got somebody else. So I can't stress it enough that we need to push that and then push a vocation or community college or something, but we just can't drop you off at the door and say, okay, you got your high school diploma, you got your ACE diploma, you said, no, you're not. And we have to, we owe it to the students to do better. And the same better, the same best that you would want for your own child, I want for these children in Riverview.
Yes, ma'am. And I agree 100%. When we meet with students, when they come in, like I say, we make sure we lay it out for them. And we let them know, what the limitations are. We let them know what the prospects are. We not only do that in those meetings, but at the alternative program, we have career fairs 2-3 times a year where we bring in trades, we bring in military, we bring in unions, we bring in entrepreneurs, we bring in colleges, because we really want them to see and to visualize all of the possibilities and all of the opportunities that are out there for them. So I mean, I agree with you 100%. That's something that we are doing and we will continue and strive to do.
Tell me about your staff. Are they certified in the areas that they teach? Are they fully qualified?
So our staff is, I would say 85% of the staff is certified. So we have certified teachers as well as instructional aides. The instructional aides are not certified. The teachers are certified. Because of the certification that Chance Light, well, not the certification, but the accreditation that Chance Light has, all of the teachers are not like we don't have a teacher that's certified in math. We have a teacher that's great in math, and he does a phenomenal job at getting our students prepared in math, but he's not certified in math. So that's an area that we're working with Chance Light on. The teachers are certified, but we're definitely, but I mean, just like any other school, you know, if you have some teachers, we want them, we'll take them, you know, because finding those teachers is not easy nowadays.
Dr. Pruitt-Adams, what type of monitoring system will you have in place for next year to monitor maybe short-term goals so we can see where the students are before it gets to the time that the report card is come out? So that we can see if there's modules that need to be completed or attendance is a problem, what kind of monitoring will we do?
So Dr. Smith now reports to me. And he and I, what we will do is once the data comes in, because the students at the alternative school also take the MAP test. And then we will sit down and identify goals of what we're going to look for. Also at the administrators retreat on the 24th and 25th, there will be where our elementary principals are doing letters training. I will be, myself and Dr. Patton will be working with the secondary principals to look at the APR and what targets we can hit in the short term.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. May.
Yes. And you're saying ACE diploma, is that they doing a high set?
Well, no, the high set, that's one of the programs that we offer. It's called the Missouri Options Program.
So they get their diploma with that, once they pass the high set?
They get a Riverview diploma with that.
Right,
So
right.
those students are counted in Riverview Gardens graduates. The ACE diploma, because of the accreditation that Chance Light has, as a remote or virtual program, they're able to offer, basically they're able to just weed out some of those electives that students take and offer a diploma that what students get 18 credit hours as opposed to 24. And that's basic. They get all of the basics, they get all of the necessary things, but just some of those electives are able to be removed.
So do you have the data that, like what the high school has on graduate follow-up? Like, do you have it
Yes.
separated? So their students are, what's going on with them when they graduate, or they're going to college?
So the majority of our students are still entering the workforce after graduation. That's one of the reasons, because we used to do, well, when I started in this position, we were doing career fairs once a year. But that's why we've kind of upped it to 2 to 3 times a year. Because like Dr. Coleman said, you know, there are a lot of possibilities out there, and the kids, they make 22, 15, 18. They think that's a lot of money, and that's nothing to sneeze at. But there are more opportunities available to them through trade programs, through community colleges, unions, apprenticeships, different things like that. And so we're steady putting those opportunities in front of them. We've seen the numbers of students going to college, going to trade programs increase. it hasn't increased as much as we would like, but we're steady pushing that messaging, you know, getting something beyond secondary education, getting that post-secondary education.
Last question, did the amount of this program, done or other programs terrible? Have that?
I don't believe we have, Dr. Yvonne Elliott. I believe that they may be a sole source in our area. We've had this contract since I've been with Riverview Garden, so we've had it better than 3 years. And we have used them the 3 years that we've been here. I do not know of another organization that does that. We are looking at ways that we can bring this program into our own school and use our own teachers to have our alternative schools. So as we move forth, we will be exploring many other ways that we can address this issue with our students or address the alternative edge. I also want to mention that many of the students that come into our school district come in credit deficient. And so they show up as juniors and seniors and they don't have the necessary credits. And so we have to start making moves to help support those students to get them toward graduation. And many times they go into the credit recovery to try to get them where we want them to be. So we are doing and we are seeking many ways to look at this alternative program and come up with a plan on how to improve it so that we have more students graduating with a Riverview Gardens degree as opposed to the ACE degree.
I do want to make a recommendation, because I was an alternative principal and I really think that it matters for the students to graduate. I have a separate celebration and engage if they're not there for discipline to be a part of the high school experience, because it's just a program. So they're technically graduating from the high school, but they're not really incorporated in the activities. Could. It feels like a punishment for some of them when they're not a part of the high school.
Question that I wanted to ask, what is the average age of students that are graduating from this program?
Depends on-
Yeah, it kind of depends.
They 21?
They can,
On average, no. I would say just off the top of my head, without looking at the data in front of me, the average age is probably about 19.
The reason that I said that is because I had some students to tell me that they were encouraged. But when I say this, that they were encouraged to leave with 18 credit hours. As opposed to, I said, well, were you offered? I said, well, if it's only 6 more credits that so that you could be in school till your age 21, then nobody ever told them that. So that's a concern to me. I know some people may not want to be in school at 21. Then there are some that if it's just 6 hours, I think that if we're going to tell them, if we're going to, I'm not saying that you did it, but I'm
Right.
just telling you what students tell me. Some of them were encouraged to take the ACE diploma as opposed to offering this to see if they could go on and try to. And then my next comment has to do with the impact that this has on our graduation rate with regards to our accreditation. What's the impact of the ACE diploma versus the Riverview Gardens diploma as far as our graduation numbers, as far as accreditation is concerned?
So as far as the graduation numbers are concerned, there's no distinction between the Riverview, because all of the students are Riverview Gardens students or Riverview Gardens graduates. So there's no distinction as far as that's concerned between if they got a RGSD diploma or if they got an ACE diploma, because they're all counted as Riverview Gardens graduates.
So the 18-hour difference doesn't make a difference? Our numbers?
Not as far as the graduation rate and the APR data is concerned, no ma'am.
Okay.
Question. ACE program's been moved house, I guess, in terms of the physical space. Pros and cons of that.
Yeah, we moved in January of 2023 this year. So we spent the second semester in one building. And it's been honestly really, really positive. One of the things that we've heard from the students is that it feels more like school as opposed to, and they feel more part of the district because they're in the district building. So they're seeing more district personnel. They're seeing more teachers, principals, counselors. We held professional development in the building. So, you know, the feedback that we're getting is this feels more like school. There haven't really been too any cons really. Space, you know, as we continue to work on the building and get different parts refurbished, I guess you could say. You know, we like to spread out. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we like to. So that would probably be the only con, really.
We were also able this year to bring in counseling. Alive and Well came in with next year with our 2 grants that we received. We will have counselors in the building to help with the social emotional support of those students as well. So I only see this move in-house as a positive move because we're able to put them all in, put our students in one place and be able to use our resources better that way as opposed to, you know, driving from here to the other building to the other location. So in my opinion, it's been a good move, Mr. Horsley.
I do have one final question of the students, A students that are credit deficient. How many of them are special needs students?
I don't have that number in front of me. I mean, I can get that for
Yeah,
you.
would you please?
We'll get you that number.
Ms. Jackson has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson.
It's not really a question, it's a statement. I heard you say it and I was sitting here and I was putting my head and I'm hoping that maybe you just said it incorrectly. That we owed it to the district to graduate our students. I think that's an unfair statement. We owed it to the student to graduate them in a way that they're going to be successful in the future. I understand the 18 credits, I understand the 24, and I understand all of that, but we owe it to our student. Make sure they're getting good quality education. Go into them if they have to stay to 21 to get their credits and to get a good education so they can go on to maybe go to a vacational school or something. Owe it to them to give them those options, as she said. We need to make sure that we're informing our students because as a prison pastor in Farmington, Missouri, I see it every day. Prisoners coming in, young boys that we didn't feel like we owed it to, and they're not doing what they need. And they feel like the system failed them. Set some of our kids up for failure because we're not telling them that, okay, you can stay to your 21, that's not a bad thing. But you need to get these credits, you need to get this, this, and that. And yes, this right now moment money is great. $18 an hour, some kids are running at it. But this right now, in the next couple of years, that's gonna be $5 an hour for real. If you're looking at the, you know, what it's gonna be valued with. So we owe it to our kids to make sure that we're making sure we're saying the right statements and the right words so that they understand the importance of their education. And we definitely need to understand here that it's about the children. We owe the district nothing. We owe the children everything. Quality education. So.
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you
Yeah.
100%.
Just look, that was just like, that was like pulling up in my soul because I see it, you know, as like I said, it's going into that prison. I see our young boys coming in there. It's going to the juvenile centers. I see our young boys coming through the system and they've been lost. They've been just pushed out there. I've seen kids come from different schools and different areas where they feel like they were just put out there. But I didn't know it, but the teacher didn't tell me this, and then it's coming back on the district, it's coming back on the teachers, and sometimes it's just not being understood. They're getting upset and they're getting frustrated because they may not be able to spell the word. They may not be able, but we have to make sure that we're letting them know that we're doing this for you, that this education is for you. You're gonna benefit from this, not us. At the end of the day, yeah, we're gonna get the accreditation in the school. Hey, kudos for us. But if you don't get it, you're disservice.
I don't know how many of the board members were at the ACE graduation, but two of our two speakers, that's our student speakers that spoke, Belinda Hamer and Keyshawn Mims. They were two prime examples. We don't kick it. We do not kick anybody out. We don't. I think Belinda is 20 and Keyshawn is 20, maybe about to be 21. they've come, they've gone, they came. Belinda, when she had a baby, she came back, left again, came back again. If you willing, we willing. You know, if you want it, we gonna help you get it. And those are two prime examples, and they're just two examples of many students that persevered and they did what they need to do. And they, just like you said, they were like, I want this. I want this Riverview Gardens diploma. And we helped them do that. And it was them. They did the work, but we helped make that happen. So we don't kick kids out. You know, I have a student right now that I have to reach out to. I think they turned 21 in December, but they want it. And as long as they want it, we gonna help them get there. So
I didn't want you to think that I was trying to accuse you of anything, but it's important that work with our students, and I'm agreeing with her, because I also visit children in prison. Kind of work together on some, but I just want to make sure that people are not suggesting behind folks' back. Listen, then you ain't gotta be bothered with this. That's what I'm saying.
yes,
because
ma'am.
Give them the best education.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
Some people, it
wholeheartedly.
just takes them a little bit longer.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Thank you.
Yes.
No, we have one more.
Thank you all for your patience.
Schoolhouse Rock Intervention and Set Program for Danforth Elementary. Making this presentation is Mr. Dominic Lenoir.
Greetings, Special Administrative Board, Dr. JPA, colleagues, and constituents. As a tertiary intervention focused on developing and enhancing quality education / instructional programs to improve student performance, Danforth would like to start Schoolhouse Rock, a Saturday academic school. This school will focus on those students who are in severe jeopardy of being retained for the current school year. The classes will run from 8 to 11 a.m. on Saturdays. The program will run on Saturdays from October 29th to May 2024. It will pay 3 teachers, not exceeding $11,880. Danforth Elementary is requesting approval for staff participation in extra duty pay Schoolhouse Rock Saturday Academic School. This program will be funded through ESSER 3 federal funds not to exceed $11,800. Thank you. Any questions?
They're using the same curriculum that they use during the week. Is it gonna be some special
Yes.
materials?
Yes, and so they also be able to utilize other programs we have like Freckle, but it's basically the students will be covering what they didn't were able to grasp that quarter before. So after the first term, they'll be get their first term curriculum down. Yeah.
Or like tutoring, or will you
Oh,
incorporate
they'll be teaching.
tutors? Teaching?
Yep. Mhm.
So for students that may
school.
need one-on-one, how is that gonna be?
Well, the classes will be much smaller than what they will get during the week. So that way, the teacher will be able to do some more individualized work with them.
I,
Yes, but that's something where we would probably have to talk about as far as, well, I guess they will get their minutes anyway during the week. So yeah, that shouldn't be no problem.
So my question is, you're predicting that you're only gonna have these amount of students and these amount of.
Well,
will
we
be
will limit it to a certain amount of number because you want it to be effective, right?
How do you choose the student?
First, we would choose by just
Grades?
the grades, the Star Renaissance scores, and also if the student wants to participate, be a part of it, right? So.
I just think that more students may be interested than you. I'm not sure.
Yes, and if is successful, we can try to go for more teachers to participate. The thing is also recruiting teachers that want to give up their Saturday and do it. So that's another thing. So Right now, we're trying to start it off to a point. We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Welcome. Part of H. You're gonna open it up to other sites Saturday, rest it or different.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. But, yeah.
Then what about parent orientation? How will the parents get like acclimated to what program is gonna be about and get their buy-in so they can decide?
So as we get close, what we will do is, like with the counselors, the counselor will reach out to the parents and let them know what we're doing and what we're trying. Most parents will be, hey, they need it, let's do it. So, we probably won't get pushback from the parents. So,
A breakfast or some type of lunch?
that's something that I have to work out and I have to talk to this guy on my right.
Cause could we count that
As attendant?
for the,
Oh, I don't know. We have to look into that.
And also ask the parents to feed the children before they come and give them a snack.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That saves money.
What was a question I was gonna ask about the Saturday mornings or what have.
We'll find, I'm good at finding ways.
I know.
So if we have to talk to one of these pantries, these places, we'll find food for them to have some snacks. So we'll make it happen. That's it. Thank you.
That completes the items for discussion.
So board members, you will recall that we did add two items for consent. For our consent agenda, we did add, this would be item 10 and had to do with AMO, voted to include that. So may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Ron Elliott made the motion to approve. Agenda, may I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second that approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hey, may I have a roll call vote?
Yes.
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 yes,
Yes.
Consent agenda has been approved. No further business before, first of all, thank you all for your patience. With no further business to discuss, I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved, honey.
May I have a second?
Second.
Been moved in second that we adjourn. Is there any discussion?
No, ma'am.
May I have a roll call vote, Shay?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
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 Motion has been approved. We are adjourned.
Oh, my God. Thank you very much.